Yes.
I can't see it. It just says Gildan Spirit de Ski Tempe Duathlon.
Yep, you're
So
on.
is that it?
You're good. Yep.
All right. Audio pin 19. Okay. How do I do that? Press.
Okay, everyone, let's get started. My name's Troy Jacobson, and we're going to get started with the Gildan Esprit de Ski Tempe Duathlon Starting Line 101 Clinic. It is a pleasure to have everyone on the call. We're still waiting for somebody else to jump on, and this is recorded, so we will be posting this online as well. So let's just move on and go through this webinar deck and give you all the information that you'll require to have a great Esprit de Ski Tempe Duathlon experience. All right. So we're about 6 weeks out. What are our objectives today for this webinar? Well, they're to provide information to make your race day a great experience, answer some race-specific questions, and provide up-to-date information regarding upcoming course clinics and training. So lots of educational opportunities out there. Your presenters today are as follows. Myself, Troy Jacobson, I'm the head coach for Lifetime Fitness and Lifetime Endurance. Ryan Summers, who is the Gildan Esprit de Ski brand manager, and then Abby Gilstrap, our national brand manager for Gildan Esprit de Ski. So we're going to go right into our deck and talk about the schedule of events. So I'm going to hand this over to Ryan and Abby. If you guys could take your phones off mute, and let's go through the all the activities that go on Saturday, May 8th.
Great. Thanks, Troy. This is Ryan. I am the local brand manager here.
Ryan, you're breaking up a little bit, so Abby, if you could take over
Yeah,
here. Ryan, if you could jump on a landline or try another phone, that would be fantastic. Abby, are you on the call?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks everyone for jumping on. You know, we're hoping to answer any and all of your questions about the race today to make you feel the best on race day. So we can kind of just start looking at our schedule of events. Saturday, we will have our expo and packet pickups at Tempe Beach Park starting at 2 p.m. from 6 p.m. So it's very important that if you don't attend our pre-race day packet pickup, that you can make it here. And we'll have a mandatory bike-in check-in starting at 2 p.m. as well that will run all the way to 6 p.m. And then athlete meetings, very important just to know kind of just the rules and just to get to know the course a little bit better and understand what you're going to be up to on race day. So the mandatory course talks, we give you two options. The first one starting at 3 p.m. and then the second one starting at 5 p.m. And then what you will receive. So Gildan Esprit, we have some really cute swag with our season this year. So you'll see on the sketches with the Moxie Cycling sketches on the right, Moxie Cycling has produced a really great item for us. It's a jersey. It has 3 pockets in the back that are very handy as you're training. So you will receive your jersey at packet pickup as well as your athlete wristband, which must be worn after packet pickup through checking out your bike. And there will be no exceptions here. So make sure that once you do have your athlete wristband on, that you do keep that on for the entire day. And the timing chip, this is also imperative to wear on race day, as no chips will mean no time. So it's very important that we have your time as you're coming through the finish line. So just be sure that you check before you do start the race that you do have your timing chip on you. And then we already discussed the Moxie Cycling Sweetheart tank off to the right. You will also receive stickers for your bike and helmet that you will want to put on your bike and helmet that day. And then race bibs. Race bibs are optional to wear on the back during the bike, but they will be mandatory to wear on the front during the run. So it's a very important point to note. And then we will have some extra little goodies in our goodie bag for you from our sponsors. So get excited about digging through that. All right, and then moving on through to race day, Sunday, May 8th. Transition will open and body marking will start at 4:45 a.m. bright and early, and will run till 6:15 a.m. So the duathlon start, we have transition from 4:45 to 6:15, and then from 6:30 to 11 will be our post-race rendezvous and market. 6:30 to 8 a.m. is an important note. It is Mother's Day, so for all the mothers out there, happy Mother's Day on May 8th, and just know that we will have breakfast for you and your daughter or other women that are around you celebrating that day. So we will have pancakes and a bunch of really fun toppings for you. And then the duathlon start will hit at 6:30 a.m. and the 5K will follow right at 7:30. And then the bike course cutoff for the duathlon is going to be at 10 a.m. So for those starting the duathlon at 6:30 a.m., you will just have to get through the bike course by 10 a.m. And we will follow with an awards ceremony at 10:30. And then the run course cutoff for all athletes will be at 11 a.m. as well. And our post-race lifestyle market will be full of healthy way of life vendors. We have a ton of fun things planned specifically for Tempe just around Mother's Day. So it'll be a really fun celebration for all of us. And we have post-race food and entertainment waiting for you at the finish line. And then, Ryan, did you have a chance to jump back on yet?
Yep, I am here.
All right. Since you are the master of the course, I will let you kind of go through and talk us through the courses and the details there.
Yeah, so we're excited that we decided to add the international distance to this year's event. So there's 2 duathlon course options, international if you want to have a longer course, and then or sprint duathlon, which is a little bit of a shorter course. So as you can see from the maps here, you have, so duathlon is running, biking, then running. So your first leg of the run for the international course is a 5K, 3.1 miles. The nice thing about our course is it's along the lake, so it's relatively flat, and it's an out and back. So there will be an aid station on this course, so you'll hit that twice because you'll run out and then you'll run back. And then you'll enter transition for your first transition. And then if you want to go to the next slide, please, and then we'll just go back to this slide so I can talk about the bike course. So transition is inside of Tempe Beach Park in the large grassy area. We call it like the bean because it's shaped like a bean. And so your bike will be there. So you'll run into transition, and then you'll switch into your biking shoes and your helmet, and make sure that you buckle underneath your helmet before you get out of transition. And then you will, walk your bike out to the mount line. So there'll be a mount line that'll be outside of transition. It'll be very evident, and there'll also be volunteers there to assist you. And that's where you actually mount and get on your bike to start to go onto the bike course. For your safety and the safety of everyone else in transition, do not get on your bike until you see the mount line. So you'll get onto the mount line, and then you'll get on your bike. And then you will go out through the little parking lot at Tempe Beach Park, and you'll make a sharp right-hand turn onto Rio Salado. I highly recommend you taking that slowly because it is sharp. So just take that slowly, and then you'll follow Rio Salado down, all the way down to Priest Drive, and then you'll hang another right there. Be cautious on that right as well, because as the event progresses on, there'll be riders that will be coming down on your left side going towards you if you're coming up on the right side. And then you'll come up to about where the 202 freeway is, and you're going to make a right. And it's going to look like you would be going onto the freeway. You're not going to. It's completely coned off and blocked off in police, and safety is our #1 priority on our course. So you'll definitely be evident where you need to turn and where you need to be on the course. And then you'll cut up over the freeway, and then you'll hit Washington Street, and you'll make a left onto Washington Street, and you'll actually be on the left side. So it would be as if you would have oncoming traffic coming at you, but you won't have any. We have all of it. So you'll have all those lanes for you. So you'll take that all the way back up to Priest, and then you'll hang another left and take Priest all the way back down Rio Salado. And then you'll go down Rio Salado, and you will go left over the Mill Avenue Bridge, and you will take Mill Avenue all the way up past the golf course, and then it is about a U-turn. So you'll make a left, and then you'll come back down, and then you'll see the Marquee Theater, and make a right. It's basically I think it's Curry Road, so you'll make a right on Curry, and then you'll go basically behind the Marquee Theater and underneath the 202 freeway. It is a completely paved road, so it's just like the road that you have been riding on the entire time. And you go underneath the freeway, and then you will take this little left loop up, and then you will take that to the right all the way over to over here. Let me just make sure I tell you the right road here because it changes sometimes. Yeah. So you'll take that up, and then you take that all the way up to McKellips, and then that is a U-turn, and I highly recommend taking that slowly because it is a pretty sharp U-turn. So definitely be cautious about that. We have police out there as well and volunteers too. And then if you're participating in the international course, you will do that loop twice. And then you will come into transition this is your second time now, and you'll dismount, and then you will walk your bike back into transition, and you'll put it back in the same spot where you got it the first time. And then you'll want to change back into your running shoes, and then you will go out of transition on the east side where you came in the first time to now complete your second run. And the second run is a little bit longer than the first one, and the only reason is because you're actually going to be running into the finish line. So you will head on out for your second leg of the run. It's exactly the same like the first leg of the run, except the most exciting part is you will then run into the finish line, and you've completed your duathlon. So it's 3.1 miles for the first run, 24.16 miles for the bike, and then 3.16 miles for that second run into the finish chute.
Great. Thanks, Ryan.
Yeah, absolutely.
And do you want to run us through the sprint duathlon course as well?
Sure. So the sprint duathlon course is very similar to the international, as you can see, except you're just not going as far. So the difference between the run courses is it's pretty much the same, except do you see the little blue like teardrop at the end? That is basically the aid station. So if you're doing the international, you're going to run past that like we just talked about. But if you're doing the sprint, you're going to go out and you're going to turn around and you're going to come back. So your first leg is 1.5 miles, and then you're going to enter transition from the east side, and then you will, get your bike and get your helmet, your stuff all set, and then you'll go out of transition onto the west side. Just exactly the same as the international. So whether you're doing international or you're doing sprint, all the bikes are in the same area. So you'll get your bike and you'll go out transition, and then you're going to go onto the bike course, and you will be completing 12.4 miles. So the bike course is exactly the same that I just went over, except you're going to do one loop of the bike course. So it's definitely imperative to remember how many loops you need to do. And so if you're going to be doing the sprint, you're going to be doing one loop, which is a total of 12.4 miles. So you will go along the exact same course that we just went over, and then you will come back into transition, and then you'll dismount, and you'll bring your bike back into transition, and you will put it exactly back the same place where you had it before. And then you will change back into your running gear or whatever works for you. And then you'll go out of transition on the east side back onto the exact same run course that you just completed before you started your bike. And the only difference between that one is it's a little teeny bit longer because you'll be running into the finish chute. So you'll go back out onto the run course and go back out to that same aid station, and then you'll turn around and you'll come on back, and then the only difference is you'll just run a little bit to your left up into the park, and then you'll hang a sharp right U-turn down into the finish chute. And so that'll be fun.
Okay, thank you, Ryan. That was a great explanation of the course. And again, we'll take some Q&A towards the end of the webinar with everything. So if you have any questions, please hold off till then. So thank you for that. So let's talk a little bit about some of the other great stuff we have here, and that is race preparation. It's time to get started for your big race. So we just have some key points we want to talk about, and then hopefully this will resonate with you, and you can implement these tidbits of advice into your race strategy and be really ready for your race. So first of all, it's normal to feel anxious as race day approaches, so preparation is key. And gosh, that is just so important that you prepare. This sport is challenging by all accounts, and you need to be ready for it. You need to train. You need to put in some time running and riding your bike and practicing those brick workouts where you get off the bike and run. So your legs know, they know what it feels like to go through that transition. And we'll talk a little bit about training coming up, but it's really important that you prepare. You want to learn the basics, the fundamentals of training. Hopefully you've been engaged in a training program already. And it's really important just to know the basics. You don't really need to dive into the details and get really fancy with your training. That's not necessary at all. In fact, sticking to the fundamentals, I have found as a coach of over 25 years, the fundamentals work just great. So if you train consistently, you follow that performance diet, and you rest and recover appropriately, you will get stronger, and the race will be very doable for you. So be consistent with your training. That means every week. That means getting your workouts in to the very best of your ability. And I'd certainly recommend you're biking at least 3 days a week and running at least 3 days a week. That's just a great target to hit. Sometimes you might do a little bit more, sometimes a little bit less, and that's okay. I have something I call the 10% rule, and that is if you miss 10% of your workouts, that's just life getting in the way of your training, and that's normal for most serious endurance athletes. So keep that in mind. If you miss 10% of your workouts, it's okay. Just try to hit those other 90%. And if you do that, you're going to be working towards your goal. Practice your transitions. The interesting thing about duathlon is that you come from the run right into the bike. And that transition is fairly simple, especially if you're not changing shoes. You're wearing your running shoes on the bike. But I tell you what, your legs feel really different when you come off the run and you hop on that bike. So practice that transition. And then, again, practice that transition from the bike to the run. The other piece is the transition itself. That's included in the race time. So practice transitioning from one sport to the other and try to do it quickly. It doesn't take a lot of fitness to change from one sport to another. It just takes practice, practicing a strategy so that you know exactly what you're doing there on race day. Nutrition is always important for every athlete. If you're doing the longer distance of race, the longer the race, the more nutrition comes into play. And hopefully you're eating a well-balanced diet now in your training process. Well, on race day, you need to make sure that you're consuming calories so that you can fuel your event. Make sure you're taking in whatever you've been using in training, whatever supplements perhaps, gels or energy bars, whatever that they might be, in a way that it helps fuel your effort and get you to that finish line with a high level of energy. But it comes down to practice in training. Don't try anything on race day that you haven't tried in training. People respond to different types of foods too. I know athletes who like to eat peanut butter and jelly sandwiches on race day. I personally wouldn't like that, nor do I recommend that, but some athletes like that. So it's really up to you. Everyone's going to be different, but you need to practice your strategy in training before you try it out on race day. Get your gear organized and race ready. Again, this sport is really technical in some ways in that we have the bike, and there's so many moving parts on the bike, and the worst thing in the world would be to have a mechanical malfunction on race day that puts you out. So make sure that your bike is in really good shape. I recommend that you take it to the bike shop at least a week in advance to make sure that everything is running smoothly. All the bolts are tightened. The chain is in good shape. The tires are in good shape. The chain and drivetrain are lubricated properly. The cables aren't frayed. All these things are important, especially if you're using an older bike that hasn't been maintained in a while. So, bike maintenance, making sure your equipment is in gear or in good shape is really important. Even your shoes. Don't go out and buy a new pair of running flats the day before the race and wear them for the first time on race day. Bad idea. Make sure that your shoes are in good shape and that you've been training in them consistently so that you can race in them well. Tame your mind. Stay positive. Say no to no. One thing about this sport is there's a lot of mental toughness involved in multi-sport training and racing. And you always have a little demon on your shoulder that says, I can't do this, or it says, you need to slow down. Well, that little demon is common for everyone. Even for me, when I used to race as a professional and used to do Ironman Hawaii, I always had that demon on my shoulder that said, you can't do this. You're not good enough to finish this race. And I just learned over time that that demon is never correct. You can always push through that discomfort, and you can always cross that finish line. So you need to develop that positive mindset, that great attitude, knowing that you can finish. And that comes from your training, your preparation, and just your own personal self-confidence. So get ready for that. Stay positive at all times and really train yourself to have that positive frame of mind there on race day. Prepare your race day game plan. Well, that just means that you need to be ready. You need to have a strategy in place, nutritionally, pacing-wise. For example, when the gun goes off on the first run, are you going to sprint? No, you're not. You're not going to sprint because it's a long day. Even if you're doing the sprint, it's going to take you over an hour to finish the event. So you can't sprint. You'll burn all your matches. So you need to have an idea of how you're going to tackle the event. So my advice is you almost use the first part of the run as a warm-up. Let your body get into a rhythm before you really start getting into a groove, whatever that might be for you. So it's really important that you have a strategy and maybe work with a coach or ask a friend who maybe has some more experience. What kind of race strategy should I follow? But the most important one is really to start off slowly. And attend your course tours and clinics. We do have different opportunities in the area with our course tours and various Starting Line 101 clinics, which Ryan can talk about a little bit later in our talk here. But we do have some in-person clinics, and they are just great educational opportunities for you to get involved in. So please take advantage of that. So let's talk about the bike. Again, know the course. A great advantage if you live nearby is to actually go out there and ride some of the course. I know some of it is very busy with traffic, but I do know as well that there are areas where you can ride comfortably. So make sure that you do know the course. And even if you can't ride it, drive it. Just know it so that you're not surprised with anything out there. Ryan already alluded to the fact there's some corners that you need to be aware of, and those corners will be swept, but you still want to be aware of the corners. So go out there and just preview the course. And again, attend one of the course tours, and if you're riding the course, be sure to go early to avoid traffic. All great advice. Once again, we go into pacing. Be smart on the bike. Use an easy gear when you head out of T1. So whenever you start off in transition, out of transition, make sure you're in a really easy gear. Just so when you get on the bike, it's easy to start riding. Sometimes you see people in their big chain ring on the front and all the way down in their 12 or their smaller cogs on the back. And that's a really hard gear to push, not the right gear to start off. So go to your small chain ring on the front and put that rear chain in that rear sprocket cluster somewhere in the middle to the larger cogs on the back. That makes it easier to start off when the bike is still. Smart pacing, ease into the race so you can find your rhythm, even if it means that it starts slower than you expected. And we already talked about that with the run, but the same does apply to the bike. In fact, when you get off that first run, your legs will be tired, from the run. So it almost forces you to take the first couple miles, or say 10 to 15 minutes, and just go easy. My recommendation is usually to go in an easier gear and spin your legs out. Get your cadence up around 80 to 90 RPMs in an easier gear, and then as you get more comfortable, then you can go to a bigger gear inch and start pushing your pace if you want to go a little bit faster. But that's totally up to you. Just remember to pace yourself. Higher cadence, layer gears towards the end of the bike to prepare your legs for the run. And remember this, the bike sets up the run. So, okay, let's start off with higher cadence piece. Towards the end of the bike, I recommend standing up a little bit on the bike and stretching out your hamstrings, stretching out your lower back, and also increasing your cadence. spin your legs out a little bit more so that they're ready for the run. All right. And then the other piece is hydration. You know, no matter what, it's probably going to be hot out on race day. So you want to make sure that you're hydrating really well on the bike, because on the bike, you're able to drink more comfortably, and your body also is able to absorb those fluids a little bit easier than, say, on the run, mainly because of all the motion that you get on running, all the jostling around. So especially in that last 20 minutes on the bike, start drinking a little bit more in preparation for the run and hydrating for the run. And remember, the bike sets up your run. So if you go too hard on the bike, or if you don't follow your right nutrition plan on the bike, that second run is going to be a lot more challenging for you, okay? Cycling rules. Be aware of the rules. There are some rules that they'll go over pre-race, and they're USA Triathlon. So you can go to usatriathlon.org to learn about the rules with regard to drafting and keeping your chin strap buckled when you're on the bike, and all the different rules that you should be aware of. But there will also be some of those rules discussed in the pre-race briefing. So please be aware of the rules. And now we're going to go on to the run. And the run, well, you want to finish strong. You want to finish with a smile on your face. Really important piece here, because this is all about having fun. So efficiency and form. Don't be afraid to mix up the pace. Include intervals, tempo, pace work. Well, that really talks about training. You know, as you're training now, don't just run the same pace every day. You know, don't just go out and jog every workout. While that will make you more fit, if you mix up your pace and once in a while go out and run harder and say for example, sprint for 15 seconds and then walk or easy jog for 45 seconds, and do that 4 times or 5 times, you'll be amazed at how much more efficient and faster you become just by doing that. Not to mention, it really breaks up the run and makes it a lot more fun. Or run fast from telephone pole to telephone pole, and then from the next telephone poles, jog easy, or go from stop sign to stop sign. You know, so many different ways to mix and match your running pace, and it really does improve your running a lot better. But focus on your form, and that means keep your arms bent at 90 degrees and try not to let your arms do a lot of work. You know, when it comes to running, the more efficient you are, the less movement you have, with the exception, of course, of your legs, the faster you're going to go with less energy. And that's the key point to running, going faster while using less energy. Focus on your quick feet. So, you know, they say that ideally you'll be running at a foot strike frequency of 170, 180 RPMs, meaning that your feet will strike the ground 170, 180 times per minute. Most people can do that. You know, with practice, it's challenging at first, but that's why these fast foot drills are really important. Be light on your feet. I guess that's the main point. Be light on your feet and try to get that cadence up. Train with a variety of terrain. Hills, if you have hills in your areas, if you can run on trails. Oh my gosh, I love running on trails. Just breaks things up so much and so exciting to do that. And then, of course, every once in a while, get on those flat areas and open it up. The other thing I really like for athletes I coach are treadmill work. I really like the treadmill. Some people call it the dreadmill, but I just love it because I think it really does a lot for an athlete, and it really saves your knees as well. Just set that grade at around 1 or 2% and find your pace, and then vary the grade. You know, get it up to 5, 6, 7, 8%, and then go back down to 2%. You can get some great workouts on the treadmill. And then brick training. We already alluded to that a little bit, but that is where you actually go from the bike to the run, or in this case, run, bike, run. What a fun workout that is. If you're at your Lifetime Fitness, for example, hop on the treadmill for 5 minutes, then jump on the stationary bike for 10 minutes, then go back to the treadmill for 5 minutes, then back on the stationary bike for 10 minutes, and then back on the treadmill for 5 minutes. That's a great workout. It's called a brick session, and it really does improve your duathlon experience. It trains your body to go from one sport to the next, and do that once or twice a week. So let's talk about nutrition. Again, a very important topic for all athletes, no matter your experience level or ability level. So there's just a few basics here. Be sure to eat your dinner about 12 hours before your wave start. Yeah, that's really important. You want to make sure that, you eat light the night before, nothing heavy, of course, and I would suggest, going a little bit more towards carbohydrate, but certainly nothing super fibrous. I wouldn't have your big, huge salad that night. That's just probably not a good idea. But so eat something that you're comfortable with, that you'll digest easily. If you can manage getting up early, eat your breakfast about 2 to 3 hours before the start. Good idea, maybe 1.5 or more hours, and eat something light. Eat something that you're used to eating and that you're comfortable with digestion, and you should be fantastic. So maybe it's oatmeal, maybe it's a bagel, maybe it's some cereal, whatever it is. Just have that as your normal breakfast. Don't do anything different on race morning. In fact, I've seen athletes who say, well, I'm going to drink coffee race morning because I've heard it stimulates your central nervous system, and it also stimulates fatty acid metabolism. Well, that's great, but if you're not a coffee drinker, you certainly don't want to start race morning. That'll just make you jittery and miserable. So if you're a normal coffee drinker, then that's okay, but if you're not, I would not recommend starting to drink coffee. In other words, don't do anything different than you normally do. Okay, make sure your bottles are full of the fuel you used in training. That's important. Pack extra fuel your stomach can digest on race day. We talked about that, and again, you've practiced using these fuels in training. Depending on the heat and length of your race, you should have a couple of electrolyte tablets. Good idea. I mean, sports drink has electrolytes as well, but it's going to be hot. It's Phoenix. So you want to make sure that you are drinking some sports drink. I would recommend diluting the sports drink. I would also recommend that you find out what sports drink will be served on course, which Abby can talk about here in a minute, and you use that in your training process so you're used to it. And when I said dilute it, what I meant by that is a really thick, sugary, solution of sports drink usually doesn't get digested as easily. So some people will basically take a little bit of water and mix it in with their sports drink, and that tends to make it more palatable. But if you can't do that, maybe some electrolyte tablets on race day would be a good idea. But again, if you're going to do that, make sure you work with that strategy in training first. Okay, so if you're training for over 90 minutes, time to start refueling. So yeah, a lot of folks doing this event will be over 90 minutes, and that's why I certainly recommend having a gel or some other nutrition product on the course with you, and that you take on a regular interval. Most people will say, okay, every half an hour I'm going to consume 80 to 100 calories of carbohydrate so that my energy level stays high. So again, whatever your strategy is, make sure you practice that in training. And then don't drink just because you're nervous. They do say that thirst is an indicator, a great indication of when you should drink. I would say that on a hot day in Phoenix, you want to make sure that you're hydrating before the race, and then you're also focused on drinking during the race at regularly scheduled intervals, because it's easy to forget. You're out there racing, you're being careful of the other athletes, you're excited, the crowd is cheering for you, the photographers are taking pictures of you, the news stations are out there, all the stuff's going on. It's easy to forget. So make sure that maybe your watch is set so it beeps every 15 minutes, and take a couple of drinks of your water bottle just to make sure you're hydrating properly. So finally, we're going to go to our equipment checklist here, and there's a lot of equipment checklists online you can refer to. So for the bike, what do you want to bring? You want to bring your helmet, your shoes, your bike or tri-shorts. Better yet, bring your tri-kit. The tri-kit includes your shorts that have a little pad in them that you can run and bike in very comfortably. Really recommend that. And we have our lifetime tri-team kits, in fact, you can get. Flat repair, good idea here because there is neutral support out on the course, so somebody will be eventually there to help you. However, they might be there 30 minutes after you get a flat. So make sure that you're self-sufficient and you bring your own stuff to change your tire just in case. And if you don't know how to change a tire, you should practice that. Sunglasses for the run, your race belt, running shoes with your quick laces so they go on really quickly, and your hat or visor. Wear that visor because it reduces the strain of the sun. That's why people wear sunglasses too, so you can relax more. And then in transition, you have your towel or mat, extra water bottle sunscreen, anti-chafe cream like your Body Glide, so you're not going to be uncomfortable out there. And then pre and post-race clothing, whatever shoes you wear, your nutrition, your sunscreen, and of course your timing chip, all very important. All right, well, before we go to this slide, Abby and Ryan, would you like to add anything to our race preparation slides?
Yeah, sure. You know, you've gone over a lot of great tips and suggestions, and there's some that have definitely stood out to me. I think, you know, one of the biggest ones being the sports psychology piece, and just remembering, you know, the foundation of what Esprit de Ski is and what it's meant to be. And, you know, we provide a race for every pace and passion. So definitely don't want this to have a competitive feel to our day on May 8th. So like Troy was saying, you know, just be consistent with training, and not just training physically, but also training mentally, and making sure that you always keep a positive mind and develop confidence in yourself so that you know you can get through the event come race day. And something really neat too is, and I'll talk more about this here later when we close, but Be Your Potential is our 2016 overarching theme. So just making sure, you know, when you are struggling, if you're out on race day, that you just remember to remind yourself to be your potential, and know that we'll all be cheering you on to the finish line, and that there's a huge celebration waiting for you afterwards. So that's kind of my ad. Ryan, did you have anything else? Doesn't.
Yeah, okay. Well, Grabby, that's great advice. That's just, you hit it on the nose, you know, in terms of the fact that Esprit de Ski is all about participation, having a great time, and using multi-sport as a way to get in great shape and for camaraderie. And, you know, if people want to be competitive with the sport, they can do that as well. But, you know, it's just great to be involved in this healthy way of life sport. So that's fantastic. So let's talk a little bit about some of the things that we do offer at our clubs with Lifetime Endurance. We do have, if you're interested, private one-on-one coaching. You know, what a great way to really drill down on a training plan specifically designed for you. We do have that service, and if you'd like to check out our website, lifetimeendurance.com, you can learn more about that, or you can contact me directly as well. And we also have our Tri-Team program. So at select clubs throughout the nation, we have tri-teams, group training in our clubs for multi-sport, triathlon, duathlon, and it's just so much fun to train with other athletes who are like-minded, getting ready for events. It's just fun, it's encouraging, it's motivating, and all workouts are led by a professional coach, which just makes for a great experience. So if you're interested in either one or any of these products and services, go to lifetimeendurance.com or reach out to me directly, and I'll be more than happy to give you more information. And then we do have our Starting Line 101 clinics, and Ryan, do you want to go over those?
Yes. So we'll be hosting several Starting Line 101 clinics, and what they are is it's just a completely casual group setting, and I usually host them outside by the pool area. The first one is on Wednesday, April 6th, starting at 6 p.m. out at the Gilbert Lifetime Club. It's just a great opportunity to meet other athletes that are going to be participating in the event. We go over race day tips and tricks. We go over the course. We go over what you get in your packet. And it's a really great opportunity to ask any and all questions because I'm there to help you with anything to make you have a successful race day and a fun post-race celebration. And if you can't make that one, I'm also offering another one on Wednesday, April 27th at 6 p.m. And that one will be outside of the pool area at the Tempe Lifetime Club. So hope you can come out. You can bring anyone that you want, if they're registered or not. And if they're just curious about the event and not ready to make the commitment yet, please bring them, because this may help them make the decision to join you at this year's Gildan Esprit Tempe.
Perfect, Ryan. Yeah, that absolutely is a great experience, and I recommend it for everyone. All right, well, let's go into our next slide, and you can see here we have our closing comments and our Q&A. So right now what I'm going to do is I am going to unmute everyone, and let's see if this works. Some people are not logged on with their audio, and that's fine. You can certainly type in a question if you'd like, but does anybody have any questions?
I have a question. This is Carol. I have a mountain bike that I do mountain biking, and I was wondering if that was something good to use for the course, or if I should go ahead and get just a regular street bike.
Carol, thanks for the question. I'll take that one, everyone. So mountain bike is absolutely fine, and a great way to really get involved in the sport. It'll serve you just fine for the race. What you'll find is that as people get more involved in the sport and in road cycling in general, they tend to gravitate towards a road bike. Because road bikes being designed for the road tend to be faster. The tires are skinnier, the gears are broader, and the bikes tend to go faster without wasting energy. So the downside to using a mountain bike is with the larger tires, there's more resistance and also the lower tire pressure and the gearing, and the mountain bikes tend to be a little bit heavier. Road bikes, on the other hand, have higher tire pressure, so there's less friction and rolling resistance. The bikes tend to be lighter, and there's more gear selection. So those are the pros and cons, but absolutely, starting off with a mountain bike is 100% perfectly fine.
How many do use a mountain bike or something different?
You'll see a lot of people. Ryan, do you want to answer that? You probably see a lot of folks using a mountain bike first time.
Absolutely. Honestly, there is a large variety of different types of bikes. I've seen road bikes, I've seen mountain bikes. That would probably be the second most common bike that I've seen. I've seen beach cruisers. I've seen bikes from a long time ago. Honestly, there's like such a large variety of bikes. This course is friendly in terms of not very large inclines or declines. There are 2 hills in the course itself, but in terms of technicality, it's not a technical course. So a variety of different types of bikes for this particular event will be just fine. You don't need to go out and buy anything else.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Okay, I have another question.
Sure.
How about, do you, as I was looking at the map, I really didn't follow it as you were going. Is it labeled well on race day?
Yeah, absolutely. So we definitely, we meaning Casey, the race director, and myself, definitely try to make sure that our athletes feel extremely safe on the course, but also know where they're going and what they're doing. And so what I mean by that is most of the course is closed off to any type of traffic. The only time that you will have traffic from cars on the Priest area and on Rio Salado, but they're on the other side of the road. So there's cones, there's volunteers, there's police, all out along the course, and there's signage as well too. So directional signage, and then if you could tell on the map, there might be what I could see would be somewhat confusing areas, maybe somewhere around Rio Salado and Mill, and then also on the other side of the lake by the 202. We have volunteers, many volunteers at all of these locations that will be guiding the racers in the right direction. So I think that you'll be happy with how much support we have out there, and you'll feel comfortable with where you need to go. if you do have an opportunity, like Troy said, to drive or ride the course ahead of time, I just always highly recommend that. As an athlete myself, I like to know where I'm going ahead of time. So then when I'm actually in the race itself, since I know I'm not going to be the first place person, I feel more comfortable knowing kind of where I'm going on my own.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ryan. Anybody else have a question?
Okay, I'll ask one more. You have the two, the international and the sprint, and it's 12.4 miles on the sprint and 24.16 miles on the international. You said there are 2 hills, but they weren't very technical. Is that
Correct.
included on the international one also?
Yeah. So the only difference between the international and the sprint is if you're going to be participating in the international distance, you're going to do the bike course twice. So for the sprint athlete, they'll hit the hill, at least the incline of the hills, one time, because when they're coming back, those will be the decline part. But if you're on the international, you'll be hitting all that area twice because you're going to do the bike course twice.
Thank you.
Yep. Thanks, Ryan, and great questions, Carol. Thank you. Does anybody else have a question? Okay. This next slide, Abby, do you want to talk about this one?
Absolutely. So as I had mentioned before, this year we're focusing our season on helping women across the country be your potential. So inside each of us lies the spirit of courage, determination, and power. It's just up to you to let her out and become the best version of yourself. So Gildan Esprit, our whole team recognizes the unique spirit of each of you. And we're all proud to inspire and support a community of like-minded, empowered women. And we are just so excited to host you on Mother's Day, May 8th this year at the Tempe Gildan Esprit Duathlon. So thank you so much for taking the time today to jump on this webinar with us. And like Troy said, you can reach out to us after the call and find all the information about Esprit on our website and Lifetime Endurance information on the Lifetime Endurance website. So appreciate all your time today, and we can't wait to host you in Tempe here come May 8th.
Absolutely. Well, thank you everyone for being on the call. And again, as Abby said, if you have any questions, please reach out to us and we'll be more than happy to get back to you. Good luck in your training. Make sure you're consistent. Make sure that you develop your strategy as we discussed during the webinar, and you will have a great experience on race day. Thanks again, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Did you think my questions were stupid?